In this episode of OG55, we're breaking down the Simba Lot. There's been a lot of speculation in regards to where Avatar is going to go. George and I just recently did a video reacting to a Hey Bricky video all about this topic. I had an interesting comment, though, in our reaction video about why, the mindset behind why Disney might be avoiding the Simba Lot when it comes to Pandora. We're going to talk about it, break it down. Up next, I got our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Mr. Webba, in the house, and the Italiano. Let's get it. Welcome on board, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We're talking all about that Simba Lot. Very interesting observation from a subscriber. I want to talk about it and break it down. George, welcome back on the show, dude. How you doing?
Doing good. Always a good time doing these shows with you where we dive deep into talking Disneyland Forward, the parks, the studios, the internal, what's going on in the company, what have you, corporate side, all that good jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. How deep do we go, George? No, kidding. Everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There he is. And Mr. Webba is back in the house. Mr. Webba, where can the good folks at home find you on social media, sir?
Well, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and now Threads. Mr. Webba at Webslinger760. And how deep we go? We go 20,000 leagues under the sea deep, OG. That's how far deep we go.
That's deep, dude. That's deep. That's deep. All right, let's dive into this topic. I got an excellent comment from a subscriber. We looked into it, and there might be something to this. So let's go ahead. I'm going to bring up the comment, and then we're going to break it down. So AZ Apache 2006. Okay, this was a comment in the video we did about where is Pandora going to go at DCA. It says here, Disneyland Forward or DCA West will have a height restriction in place. Okay, so we're talking about the Simba Lot having a height restriction. That's why I said it will mimic the Toontown feel on a larger scope. Height restrictions in the current DCA is equal to Guardians. So anything built in the current park for DCA, it can go as high as Guardians, Mission Breakout. Avatar rock formation is the contributing factor that it stays in the current DCA. This is interesting because we speculate a lot here, right, on the channel, and friends like Bricky, are speculating in the community. I never personally considered this. Okay, I never heard anyone really talk about this. It's fascinating because there was, let me go ahead and bring up the, give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up the map. When they were doing the Disneyland Forward initiative, right, there was a lot of concerns with the Simba Lot, which sits right here, okay? And the concerns were how close they were to the residential area. Look, if you can see, it butts right up against all these homes. We looked at the Disneyland Forward website. George, I'm going to bring it up in a second, but there are sound regulations, height regulations, visual regulations that pertain to the Simba Lot. Now, Avatar and what they want to do is a very ambitious project. I mean, they want to do rock work that looks massive, okay? The scope and scale of this land looks really, really crazy. If this is true, if there's a height cap on anything built in the Simba Lot because of these homes, and not even just a height cap, but even other things that might turn Disney off in terms of Pandora. That is why Disney is so hell-bent on trying to get it into the current park, which makes the Hollywoodland area more attractive because there's less restrictions. It's a theme park that's been there for years. They can kind of do a lot more with with the space over here. Now it is kind of making sense why they're not doing Simba and they're looking more towards the current park. Now, George, I'm going to share your screen. If you can share with us what the Disneyland Forward, the official Disneyland Forward website, says about their approach with the Disneyland Forward areas.
Absolutely, yes. So this is coming from the Disneyland Forward website fact page. This is basically the typical questions that a lot of people were asking when we were trying to get like the gist of like what Disneyland Forward is and what it's all about, and the current goals that Disney was pursuing for the future. So as I was scrolling through the page, this is what I ended up coming across. The question was, what are you doing to protect the adjacent neighborhoods from noise and visual impacts during construction and operations? And Disney responded with, Disneyland Forward includes restrictive regulations and design requirements, specifically on the edges of Disney's property adjacent to neighborhoods. The restrictions near neighborhoods are highly detailed, from placement of buildings, the design of sound walls, what type of attractions can be built and where, height maximums, noise monitoring, setbacks, screening, and more. Visit our environmental review page for more information. Some examples include increased setback for development, stair-stepped height, landscaping palette, buffer and screening measures, detailed for every edge of property adjacent to neighbors. Installation and maintenance of landscape setbacks adjacent to neighbors. Modifications to maximum height allowed within the Disneyland Resort. Implementation of 360-degree architectural design to improve public views and views especially from adjacent residential property.
So you can see here there is a laundry list of restrictions because of how close they are to this property, these homes. So it makes sense what AZ Apache was saying in the comment section, where that's why Disney doesn't want to put Avatar here. There's too many limitations. We talk a lot about it here on the channel as well. James Cameron is an ambitious guy. Maybe even James Cameron didn't want to be so tied when it came to what he could or couldn't do with this land. George, and then I'll go to Ebba. What are your overall thoughts, brother?
This, honestly, and I didn't even, you and I spoke on this on the phone, and it did not dawn on me because I remember them having all these implementations when they gave out the environmental kind of like rule book, so to speak. And it just dawned on me after you brought it to my attention from that viewer's comment that does make sense. And it kind of is a game changer, because we're thinking if they put Pandora into Hollywoodland, it restricts them from creativity. Put it in Simba Lot. You can, have as much a blank canvas as possible. What that sounds like to me is it's actually the opposite. It seems like if they put it in the Simba Lot, they have more restrictions and less of a blank canvas than actually over in Hollywoodland.
No, exactly. There's more than meets the eye, right? Not to quote the old Transformer cartoon from the 80s, but that makes a lot of sense, right? So if you're going into this project and you want it to be really ambitious, yeah, you have all the room in the world in the Simba Lot. You have a ton of room to do it, but you have to worry more about the neighbors behind you. And there's everything from like you read the whole thing with like the even the landscaping and all kinds of stuff. So they don't want to deal with that when they're building this really immersive land. They'd rather have a little more freedom, and I think they're willing to sort of sacrifice the easiness of building on a blank canvas. They're willing to sacrifice that to sort of get a little bit more flexibility. But what say you, Mr. Webba? What are your thoughts on this?
Really quick, I just have to add something real quick too. And as it was mentioning, not even just about the visuals, but also for the sound. When you go into Pandora in Animal Kingdom, you kind of get a lot of that kind of nature, kind of like organic sounds surrounding the land, like where you hear like critters, you kind of hear insects kind of buzzing around and what have you. So if Disney wants to implement that into DCA's version of Pandora, and they may even want to do something even more. We don't know what Disney has in store for this Pandora. There could be a lot of lighting effects. There could be, because again, we talked about this. What they don't have right now in Animal Kingdom, they don't utilize the bioluminescence because of the park closing early for the actual animals. We don't need to have implementations like that for DCA. So they might be going all out with this, but yeah, to have it smack dab in the middle of the neighborhood, again, that would restrict them a lot.
And we know that the boat ride, the ride that we're getting, the boat ride that's based on the Shanghai Pirate technology, some of that is outdoors too, which I'm sure with noise and all that. So look, I'm not, a legal expert when it comes to all these restrictions and what they can or can't do. But the fact of the matter is there's enough limitations here, I think, between the sound, the visuals, the height, and all that, that's, in my opinion, is at least understandable as to why Disney would shun away from this particular piece of property. What say you, Mr. Webba?
Yeah, so going back to what George brought up about, like that laundry list of things. This was one I overlooked as well. But thinking about it, right, is like when I look at Simba Lot, it's like, oh, that's the most very obvious spot to put it, right? Now the thing is like that, you could still put something there, right? It just has to be within those restrictive guidelines.
Correct. Yeah, correct. But I think when it comes to, and they will, this will definitely be theme park eventually. But I think when it comes to Avatar, with James Cameron involved, they really want to go big and go ambitious. And the problem is that with all these limitations, it's a little harder to do what you want to do. Now, other properties might work better. Like, for example, if you wanted to do, say, a Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway style attraction in this space, that would be perfectly fine because that's completely housed in a giant box and doesn't really affect the neighbors. Or I think like a Pandora, it's a lot of lighting effects, lighting packages, and really tall visuals and things like that. And I think that that's kind of what's turning them off to using it. Go ahead, Webb. I do apologize.
No, you're fine. No, you bring up great points. Now, the thing I want to bring up is kind of in a mix of all of that, right? Is, James Cameron would want something ambitious, right? And when having those restrictions for that side of Simba Lot, though, to me, that also puts into question, can Disney not really go as ambitious as they want to in that area because of all the restrictions? So then, go ahead.
No, you're right. I agree with you. I mean, it's there's a lot of restrictions there, so it's going to limit what they can do there. And right. I mean, not to say everything they put there is going to be a stinker, but it's going to limit the scale and scope, I think, at least to some degree.
Yeah, because, when I think about it, right, it's like, and again, for everybody at home and for you guys, I don't know how tall all these structures are for all the newer lands that have been built in China, Japan, right? But, if we get like a whole new land of like Arendelle or whatever, how big can they make these? Like, how big can they make these things to their counterparts? And let's say if we got it, right? And the problem too I have with the Avatar going in the Hollywood bus load area is that still enough room for all of that? And I don't know, because again, the transition is very wonky. At least looking at it from going from Buena Vista Street down to Hollywood, like that transition would be very weird. I'm not a creator, I'm not an Imagineer, so maybe I can't visually see it. But if we're talking about a big, because you look at the Pirates of the Caribbean show building, that thing's huge.
I think at some point, Disney knows they have to sacrifice something. And I think with dealing with Cameron, they're kind of down to the wire of sacrificing the art of storytelling as far as like the transition goes from Buena Vista Street into Pandora or Avengers Campus into Pandora, than to restrict down to a bare minimal of what they can do if it was to go over the Simba parking lot.
It's interesting too, is that we still don't know what the other movies, that the other sequels are, what story beats are in those sequels. So that's a lot of information that might help us kind of figure out what they're going to do here. But yeah, I agree with you guys. It would be a weird transition from Buena Vista Street into this Pandora. I've suggested, and I don't know if they would do this or not, what I've suggested is you kind of go from Hollywood, you go from Buena Vista Street, and you turn down what is currently Hollywood Boulevard. Avatar has a military element in that franchise. You see it sprinkled throughout the land over even in Animal Kingdom. They got like these giant mech robots like standing around, right? Maybe have that first initial drag where Hollywood Boulevard is more of like a military installation with like, you know, military buildings. And as you go move further in, it's Pandora. So it's not as drastic of a change because you go from the urban setting of Buena Vista Street and then into like a more of a military facility, which is still kind of like an urban kind of setting. And then as you move further in, you get into the more organic rock work and waterfalls. They might go that route because I agree with you guys. It'd be kind of weird to have just like rock work and crazy shit like right off of Buena Vista Street. It doesn't really seem to work.
Well, and then with Cameron too, right? It's like that. Now it's like at a point. Okay, now Cameron kind of has to pick what he wants, right? Because he's going to be ambitious along with Disney. You know what's the give and take, right? Do you want to build it in the Simba Lot where you're going to have a very not grand and all-inspiring land, but just have the empty space and room to do it on a much like smaller scale, I guess.
I bet you Disney even asked him to. I bet you they gave him the choice because that way they don't want to have that blood on their hands. Where if just to say something doesn't work out the way, you know, then Cameron's not going to come back on them.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So he's got to pick between the Simba Lot and having a shorter like structures in the land, or take up already existing space, dig it all up, and then try to fit whatever he can there.
And see if I'm Disney, right? If I'm Disney and I'm looking at this, right, and I want to do an ambitious land, what would make the more sense? Like, because look, you're looking at an area, Hollywood land, that needs to be basically bulldozed anyway, or drastically reimagined, right? Yeah. So Disney's looking at that going, well, we have to address this anyway. So why not go in there and just bulldoze it and put Pandora in there so we can actually have more of that creative freedom, where with Simba Lot, you're restricted. And they probably do want to get more ambitious with this because of the James Cameron element and what have you. So they were weighing the pros and cons. They're like, yeah, you know what? Hollywood land is a fixer-upper anyway. Let's get rid of it, and let's just go ahead and put it there. It's crazy. It's just something that I never really considered until I got that comment. And I do appreciate AZ Apache for mentioning this, because it kind of blew my mind a little bit. I was like, oh, shit, that's an element of this whole puzzle I had no idea. And we should have had an idea because we all knew that there were restrictions. We talked about it, George.
Right. We just didn't put like the two and two together as to why that they would consider even thinking about putting Pandora into Hollywood land. Now, Ebba, you had mentioned about as far as like the size of the show building itself for the attraction. And because it is true, the Shanghai Pirates building is massive. But Bricky does break down, you know, in his format that they could fit in the show building by including the bus load unload area, by them adding that extra piece with the back lot on top of the end part of Hollywood land that runs into the Hyperion Theater. There is enough land where they can kind of give the full scale Pandora. If they were to not utilize the bus load unload area, then they're basically giving a mini version of what they presented to us at D23.
Well, and then it was Blog Mickey who said that Pandora will be the first Disneyland Forward project, right? It was Blog Mickey who said that, that's where we read the report, you know, recently too. Well, the bus load unload area is technically Disneyland Forward. That would be something that would be Disneyland Forward, very much so, because that's also where the Eastern Gateway would kind of run over to and empty out and all that stuff. So it lines up that would be it, you know. And it's actually this bus load area. I mean, I know they can't use the whole thing, I'm sure, because you have to have that Eastern Gateway that connects here, but it's a sizable area. I mean, there's a lot of room here because it's not just this; it would be tacked on to this too. So
Right.
you would get a full blown Pandora. You know, I'm just curious, Eva, as you are, how they tie that in. Do you keep Hollywood Boulevard themed to Hollywood Boulevard? Do they make Hollywood Boulevard some other thing? Is there something in the new movies that some urban setting that they'll turn Hollywood Boulevard into that we're not aware of because those movies aren't out yet? There's so many question marks, you know.
I know the next sequel to Avatar is Avatar Shake Up in Hollywood. Fucking slam it right in there.
Boom,
But
exactly.
We also take into consideration too, OG. I mean, we still don't really know if Disney is going to utilize Hollywoodland for Avatar. Because I mean, don't you think that they would want to try to save Monsters Inc.?
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're trying to trigger me. You're trying to trigger me, right? Oh man, that was such a fun video, bro.
No,
I was so hot over that. I just got mad. You know what it is? You know why I got so triggered on that? It's because I want DCA to be taken seriously. I want ambition. I want bold change in DCA. I don't want Band-Aid fixes.
You know what? That's good in a sense, because if this is the route that Disney is going and this is why they have to, then maybe now Disney is starting to realize, hello, this is the park right across from Disneyland. We have to show it some love. So maybe that's why they made this decision, so they could take it seriously with Pandora. Because if they were to just throw it in Simba Lot, us thinking it's going to be, oh, they could pretty much do whatever they want. Well, technically they can't. So
they can't. Yep, exactly. So take it seriously and give DCA the proper love. You know, I feel like DCA got kind of got shafted, or actually really got shafted with Avengers Campus. Yeah, I mean, you know, come on, this is Disney's biggest franchise, the MCU. And look, I know Avengers Campus is very popular, but I think it could have been way more ambitious and way more impressive than it actually was. Now, it's going to be better once they get the e-ticket in there, Infinity Defense, and the Stark Flight Lab and all that. It's going to improve. And I'm sure even after those two attractions, they'll expand it out as well. But, you know, I want to see DCA get something big here. I want to see them, and I want to see bold change and bold moves. I know it's really scary for fans to like for any kind of change. Oh man, you're going to get rid of Hollywoodland? That's been there since the beginning. We can't do that. No, we do that. We do that because that land is an embarrassment right now. The whole land, really, except for Monsters, is sitting empty. It's an embarrassment. I don't. You know what? Throw nostalgia out the window. Let's make DCA a top tier park. Bulldoze it. Let's put Pandora in there. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? But
make DCA worth the money. Hollywoodland sucks. Get rid of it. Like you're saying, whether Avatar goes in there or something else goes in there, just get rid of the Hollywood area. I do not like it. It is awful. That awful Hollywood backdrop is garbage. It needs to go.
Well,
it needs to go. Absolutely.
Well, and I'm not going to dive deep in this too much because I know we're going to do a separate video on this. But with the recent price hikes with the Magic Keys and and then the tickets and what have you, they're eventually going to have to justify those price values. And right now, if you look at a 1-day ticket, if you were to utilize it for DCA, that's not worth getting the price value, your money worth out at all. You know, so by putting in Pandora in there along with Avengers Campus, and then eventually whatever does go into the Simba Lot, plus adding Coco, you know, then that would be worth a 1-day ticket to allow people to say, hey, you know what, this is worth, you know, I got the day off, you know, I'm not working, the kids are in school, you know, I'll go to DCA.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, get some heavily immersive areas. You know, I said it before, but not everyone watches every single video, so I tend to repeat myself. But Pandora in Animal Kingdom is one of Imagineering's greatest feats. It's absolutely breathtaking. It's gorgeous. It's one of the best things they've done, I think. You know, and to bring a version of that to DCA of all the parks to DCA is amazing. You know, so let's do it right.
Now, I have a question for the two of you. Now that we kind of got, again, kind of like reminded of like what cannot go over there, then could we then see Coco over in the Simba Lot? if they weren't to utilize it in the pier or Paradise Gardens.
If they announced a Coco Land, then I would say yes. But I just don't see them putting one attraction over there. I would be very surprised. I think whatever we get over there will be a land. Just my opinion. I could be wrong. What do you think, Eva?
Yeah, I was thinking when George was asking that. Now again, obviously they can put more Pixar stuff over there, but it's like, we already have like an area dedicated to Pixar, really. I mean, we have Pixar Pier, and then we have Cars Land, which is also Pixar, right?
Right.
So we already have like Pixar to Pixar, and then you're gonna extend over there to more Pixar, right? So it's like, I don't know. I feel that'd be kind of strange, in my opinion.
No, it is. It is strange, and it's too much Pixar. I want to see, and that's the other reason why I'm excited about Avatar. I'm tired of Pixar and DCA, like a little bit, right? I mean, it's good, it's cool, but I don't want more Pixar. I want to have a different franchise. We got Pixar, we have some classic Disney with like Little Mermaid, we have the MCU, and then now we'll have Pandora. That's a good mix of IP. Mm-hmm. I don't want to keep Monsters Inc. or expand upon the Monsters Inc. Yeah.
And you know what? That actually just brought me to realize something. I know, since forever, people have always wanted like a Star Wars park or a Marvel park because there's so much like content, right, within those properties. But then I think about it to look at Disneyland. Why Disneyland also works so well is because it has a mix of everything. It has the classic Disney IP. It has the originals. It has some Pixar, right? Whereas Pixar, a lot of it's like the California stuff-ish now, but then it's really heavy on Pixar. And then it kind of drove me crazy when we had the Pixar Fest, because now it's more fucking Pixar, more Pixar than Disney. I'm like, I'm kind of getting burnt out on the Pixar thing. So yeah, I want to see more.
Can we see your shirt, Eva, by the way?
Oh yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
No, I'm just messing with you, brother. But you're 100% right on that. 100% right on that. I love Pixar. It's a beautiful studio. They make amazing stuff, but I don't want 80% of DCA to be Pixar. I want some other stuff in there, some other IP. And I will say this: I'll give credit to Universal. Parks like Epic Universe, good mix. There's not a whole lot of like just one thing in that park. It's a good eclectic mix. You got Dragon, Mario, Potter, Universal Monsters. It's a good mix. DCA needs a better mix. It's a little too Pixar heavy right now.
Yeah, but this also goes back to like the whole California theme, right? Of California for DCA is are they going to start moving away from that and just make it a Disney park with a bunch of different, now modern Disney IP lands?
They're going to have to. At some point, they're going to have to, because you only have so many IPs and stories and characters that utilize the theme of California. Look what they're even doing now, even with Pandora. It's like, for us, it looks and sounds weird because they're putting it in a park that is supposed to be dedicated for the use of the state of California. For an IP like Coco, it makes sense because of the demographic of, residents that live in the state of California. But again, how many more Cocos do we have, in a sense, that would fill up an entire expansion of DCA?
Is there a way, creatively, right, that you can keep Hollywood Boulevard, and when you turn left, you go to Pandora, and when you turn right, you enter the Marvel MCU, the Marvel universe, right? Is there a way to sort of repackage the Hollywood theme when you enter in, where you're going to go experience the environments of Hollywood?
I think that's the only route that they really could go where it would make sense.
So this is for me where it's about to get very really controversial here, right?
Like, we never have anything controversial on this show.
Yeah, right. No, never, not at all, right? Because we're a bad influence, So, so I'll be honest, right? I do love DCA. I do love California Adventure. My problem has always been with it. I've never said it before, but because it's very, very controversial. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I am going to a Disney park to experience aspects inspired by California. I want to go to a Disney park to escape the real world and life kind of aspect and be inside like a fantasy of Disney magical IP related products. That's just me. Like
I
when I go to
in a way, I can understand that because I think that's how DCA 1.0 suffered from the very get. It was like people were so used to entering a realm of fantasy, of adventure, of future, and it's like, okay, well, we're going into where with Epcot, I get it. You know, Epcot is a different beast when it comes to that because you're taking something that was very passionate of Walt, where you combined the future of technology plus world culture, and they just kind of combined it and meshed it together. You know, that was something very unique with Epcot because technically Epcot was not supposed to be a theme park. It was supposed to be a living city. When it comes to DCA, I can understand that aspect. Now, for me, I don't really have an issue with it, but I can see where Disney's issue would come now because this is this is the obstacles that they're facing. It's like how much more IP is there? How much IP could they get that has a representation of California that would actually make sense? Now, to what you just said, OG, that I think that would probably be the best bet. If they, right off of Buena Vista Street, you see the theater that housed the premiere of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You turn down Hollywood Boulevard, you go down that long stretch, and it's like, hey, you're walking into, you know, where a lot of cinematic masterpieces were made from Hollywood. Kind of, if you go to the left, you go to Avatar, you go to the right, there's Avengers.
Marvel. Yeah, you're kind of like almost taking the universal approach, right? You're gonna ride the movies or experience these stories, right? You're gonna be part of the adventure, so to speak, you know. And I think that would be a kind of a clever way to do it. So you kind of repurpose Hollywood Boulevard and kind of get people with the expectation that we're gonna walk into our favorite movies, basically. And I think that might work, you know.
I would like, honestly, this is going to even sound even more controversial. Now, I do know they would need the Hyperion for the extended part, probably for Pandora. So if you take out that equation, it's going to shorten Pandora up a bit. However, if they're able to get the full scale of Pandora in there, right in between where Avengers is and Pandora, I would love for them to utilize the Hyperion area and make a more modern great movie ride, because then you can solidify the notion you're still talking about Hollywood, that's California theme, you have both franchises right in between that attraction, and then they could still utilize Fox properties, they could utilize whatever, but it still solidifies the fact that it's still staying Hollywood.
Yeah. So I guess here's my problem, right? Is and maybe I just have a small thinking capacity, but it's like
probably
if you want to go experience, right? It's like if you want to go experience Hollywood and you're in California, just fucking go up north, like an hour north. There's fucking Hollywood right there. I mean, I just don't like the fact that of experiencing things that are inspired by California, living in California or being in California. Like I want to be able to have experiences in type of environments where it's hard to get to, or you'll probably never go to.
Okay,
like
I'm gonna push back just a little bit on that because that is a worry for me with Grizzly Peak. Because if Disney utilizes that notion altogether, then obviously I don't see Grizzly Peak going one way or the other because, well, as of right now, because of the Grand Cali. But I don't want them to get rid of every aspect of that because I do enjoy Grizzly Peak.
So let me ask you this, Eva. So let's say they do our idea where you're walking into Hollywood, but you're going to experience the films. You're going to walk into your favorite films. You're going to walk into Avatar. You're going to walk into the MCU. You go left, you go right. What if the main drag, the Hollywood Boulevard, wasn't modern Hollywood? It was more of like a 1950s Hollywood or a 1960s Hollywood. Now you can't go back in time, so it's a more romanticized kind of like timepiece. Is that something that you'd be more okay with?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Main Street, right? I mean, that's something that we don't experience in our everyday life today, right? Because it's so different from what we have today. I'm okay with that because that's not what like. I guess you have different time periods because it's a different experience, right, than what you would have today. So even though it's California, and this probably doesn't make any sense, that's not. No, I never experienced that era before, right? Because I wasn't alive then.
Right.
So it's cool to be able to experience that era of the setting, the movies, right? And so I know
that's what I actually love about with Disney's Hollywood Studios is when you go down Sunset Boulevard, you kind of get that like 1930s, 1940s kind of feel to it, like with the music and what have you. And then you got the Hollywood Tower Hotel at the end where it's like the glitz and glamour of old traditional golden age Hollywood. I wish that Disney would kind of go in that kind of route. Yes, I do agree with you for at least the walking path, at least up to the fork in the road, so to speak, where you could either go to Avengers or Pandora.
Right. Yeah. And like you're saying too, it's like, I'm not saying get rid of all of it. It's just like, for example, I really like Buena Vista Street. I think it looks great. Having the trolley there was really, really nice. I like that aesthetic, right? Again, because it's that different era, right? And so that's what I like. Now, for example, having like Pixar Pier, right? I know, OG, you hate Pixar Pier.
Yeah.
Right? I actually don't mind Pixar Pier. I know, here's the thing, I didn't like it in 1.0. I like it in 2.0, not 1.0. Because at least now it's kind of removed itself from like the real life California pier shit. Even though now it's like just Pixar, but it's more Disney-fied, I guess you could say. But yeah, I for me personally, it has never made sense why we have a park in California where you have California like experiences. It just, or like soaring over California. I mean, why? I just never understood it. I know it's gonna be a hot take with a lot of people.
No,
I'm like, if you want to experience California, go experience California.
Honestly, bro, I'll probably be canceled right there with you because honestly, I'm kind of over Soarin'. Literally, I actually remember the last couple times I was out at DCA. It never was my thing that I was like, oh, I feel like I want to ride Soarin'. I'm kind of like over it. It felt like it was good in the time where it's like, because you're utilizing a newer kind of technology where it makes you feel like you're hand gliding through all these different places. But like with the way technology is now with Flight of Passage, with Cosmic Rewind, now again with this new boat ride that we're going to get with Pandora, it just seems like Soarin' is just so outdated.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And that was actually, like I said many times, I've been in the community a really long time, since AOL dial-up. I was in the community in the lead up to DCA. And one of the biggest complaints in all the message groups and all the forums was, why do I want to visit a park about California in California? Now, I do think in 2012, they went in a different direction with that California theme, where it was more about Disney's version of California.
Right.
Like, you can't go to a real San Francisco, or you can't go to 1930s LA. So that was a smart move, But you're right, though. It is a little bit like, okay, I live here, though, like, do I, so it's interesting.
Well, I mean, here's, sorry, George, real quick. I mean, even if you're just visiting here, right? And you want to experience Hollywood, like I say, go to Hollywood, rent a car and drive up an hour north, and you're going to be in LA, where you have all the famous piers, you have Hollywood, you have Universal Studios, an actual movie like lot. Go do that. Like, I don't understand why we have to have a park inside California to have California like experiences, if that makes sense. For me, I just don't understand it. I want to go to a Disney park to experience Disney stuff.
Well, and I think Disney is starting to realize that, and I guess that's probably why I think they are going off of that California beaten path, so to speak. And I think Pandora is the headliner for it right now, because eventually, I do think that at DCA in time, we're going to get Zootopia. We're going to possibly get what OG said. You might even get Villains.
If they change the theme to Disney's Cinematic Adventure, You couldn't, in theory, you can put Villains Land in DCA. It opens up,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. A lot of people have said to me, "Well, what's the financial incentive to change the name? You got to change all the napkins, you got to change all the logos everywhere and all that." Yeah, that's pricey, but you know what? At the end, it's a payoff for Disney because now Disney can take any IP they want, and they don't even have to think about it. You put Villains in there, you can put Fantasy Springs in DCA at that point. Then you have free reign. Disney would love that. Go ahead, George. I do apologize.
No, that's all good. Now, I want to kind of go back a little bit because, Ebba, you had mentioned the red car trolley. Now, again, I know everyone, I'm responsible for the demise of the red car trolley. but now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that they were removing the trolley barn, so to speak, you know, for Avengers and more so probably for Pandora. Now, if they was to keep the stretch, what you were referring to, OG, from Buena Vista Street down into where the crossroads were, could they have kept that barn if they were to kept it that Hollywood theme of the stretch where they could have kept the trolley, or would it still would have hindered that no matter what, if they were to do something with Avengers or Pandora, that area would need to be taken out?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on, because what we're talking about, our theory is like you go down Hollywood and you go left to experience the Avatar franchise, you go right to experience Marvel. We don't know though how far up you're going to go.
For Pandora, yeah.
We don't know how they're going to alter that back end of that land. It might encroach a little further. And Hollywood Boulevard might get shorter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a big reason why maybe that they're not keeping the red car. That's a possibility. I do believe, though, I know Disney said it's because of the trolley barn. I think if Disney really wanted the trolley, they'd find a way. They'd find some other place to put the barn. I don't think that's the real reason. I think the real reason is because whatever plan they have, the trolley doesn't work in that plan. And finagling Pandora and all this stuff that they want to do, it's just there's no way the trolley can make it through it. You know. But then I hear all these rumors about, well, they might reroute the trolley and have it go down like the parade corridor and up to the pier. I don't know if I want that though. That would really you want to see an Italiano triggered. Like I get freaking like where they're in my way, just me going down, Hollywood Boulevard. Can you imagine that long of a stretch and the congestion? Because you already get congestion over there. Right.
So to have the trolley in the mix with that, I don't know how that would work.
And aesthetically it looks weird.
Well, exactly. Right. You're exactly right.
Like a trolley going past a seaside pier and stuff. It just doesn't look right.
Going by Goofy Sky School, bro.
Yeah, man. It's too weird just a little too weird for me. Like, I just feel like I get it. Fans want the red car. I want the red car. But is that really it? Like, do you really want to see the red car trolley going past Goofy Sky School and stuff? It works in the context of Buena Vista Street, and I can even forgive it going past Mission Breakout for like 30 seconds, fine, but to go all the way down through the park,
that would cost Disney more money to implement more track going all the way down to that parade.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, and then you're interfering with all the food and wine booths, which I know Disney doesn't want to do that. I'm telling you, that trolley, they're not gonna reroute that trolley. It's gone. I know fans want it. I want it, but
I am glad that they brought it back for the amount of time that it was there, though. I will say.
Yeah.
So, but I do want to ask you guys though. So, on the topic of expansion and events like food and wine, when they expand into Simba Lot, or even with the new Avatar thing, are they going to have those setup booths for like food and wine or whatever they have?
I would think so. I don't think food and wine is going anywhere. I don't think these events are going anywhere. I think Disney makes a lot of money. The DCA events are really popular. Lunar New Year has become way more of a common thing out here in California, at least. I don't know how it is with the rest of the country. But out here in California, Lunar New Year is become very mainstream. When I was a kid, you never heard of Lunar New Year when I was a kid,
Not either.
Yeah, now it's so like everyone talks about it. It's very, because we've gotten more culturally diverse as the years have gone on. So these things are very popular. I don't see them getting rid of that cash cow.
Could you see them moving food and wine and Lunar New Year like over in the Simba Lot eventually?
Whatever becomes over there.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, possibly. Yeah, they might move it around. Yeah, if maybe whatever goes in Simba Lot will be like an international area, right? And there's all different cultures over there, like a little mini
Would you be
showcase.
okay now? Everyone said that Westcott was dead, but for you, Westcott will never be dead. Would
Yeah.
you be happy with a Westcott area that would be utilized over in
Simba.
the Simba?
That would be an interesting concept because you can take California, which is known to be a very diverse. It's one of the. I think it is actually the most diverse state in terms of racial mix and like cultural mix, all that, right? An area based on cultures around the world, or even just cultures that are heavily prevalent in California, a whole area over there, that would be fascinating. And it could be like a mini world showcase almost. And it would be a little taste of Westcott in DCA. I wouldn't mind that.
Where Coco would fit.
And then you put Coco there. And then you can have an Asian franchise like a Raya, the Last Dragon, because Asian culture is very popular, very prevalent here too. You can put, Encanto. You can put, there's so much you can do. So you Mulan, you can do a lot with that, there's just so much. You already have Big Hero 6, but there's just a lot you can do there. I would love that idea, George. I would absolutely love that idea. I think that'd be beautiful. And then it's something that is already kind of taken off with DCA. Like it's very popular. These cultural events are very popular in that park. So build a permanent area over there in Simba that kind of house all that stuff. And then you can put a lot of the food and wine stuff over there. I don't know. Yeah. I'd be down.
And then that would free up the idea for the third park.
Right. Yeah. Then you do the third park in the Toy Story lot and you're good to go. You're good to go. So yeah. And that third park will be Toy Story lot. I'm certain of it. I don't think they're going to put it in there with the hotels and stuff. I just think that, look, I would love to have 3 and 4 parks, but I just think that area with the Simba lot and then the hotels in the middle and then the Stitch parking lot, I just think that it's operationally very difficult to do that. You kind of mess it up. You kind of mess things up and make things more inconvenient for hotel guests. Disney doesn't want to do that.
And again, that landlocks DCA to ever expand.
Right. And then you kill DCA's expansion. And then you can never get anything new without replacing. And who wants that? So, yeah. I think it's
interesting. Toy Story lot, that's where they have changed the permits that you could build something 300 feet?
Yes, that is where you can build 300 feet, which is actually massive because I think the Matterhorn is only like 150 feet tall. So you're looking at double the Matterhorn over there.
That's huge, dude.
That's some big Mick energy, bro.
But now here's the question though: will they build something that tall?
No, I don't think so. I think
they just want to have the feeling that they could. It just covers their bases.
Yeah, I don't think that you will. I think you'll probably get stuff like maybe as tall as the Matterhorn, like that height. But no, 300 feet, that's crazy. I don't even think Cinderella's castle is that tall, is it?
189 feet.
Yeah, it's like really? It's like another 100 plus feet taller than Cinderella's castle. I just can't see it.
Man.
Yeah, I just can't see it. So we'll see. Fascinating topic today. And thank you, AZ Apache, for the comment. It sparked our imagination. We looked into it. I think there is something to that theory with the Simba lot. I think that there's too many restrictions over there, and that's why they're looking to put this land inside the current park. So, go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. I just want to, because I don't know if I brought it up earlier, but my kind of fear or worry is that because of that restriction, I'm worried how restrictive like their newer stuff is going to be in that area, right? Because it was kind of brought up that the ambition, they probably won't be able to get that ambitious with that area then, unless they can find some creative way to work around that.
Well, I do remember part of that, and I think it was part of that environmental guidebook or whatever. I do remember it saying, and I can't remember the exact number, but they said that they could have up to it was either 16 or 26 attractions, entertainment, what have you. They could have X amount of outdoor rides, X amount of spinner rides, X amount of indoor rides. So they broke it down of really what could be placed there. So there are elements of outdoor attractions and indoor attractions that they could do. But I think just something as big and ambitious as Pandora, and especially since James Cameron is tied to it, I don't think Disney can really do what they really want to do with that franchise. Now, when it comes to others, like OG had mentioned earlier, kind of like a Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway style attraction where you have like an outdoor marquee, but you have a really nice trackless dark ride on the inside. I think that's the kind of stuff that we're going to get over there.
Yeah, I think the problem with Avatar in that space with those restrictions, that Avatar is a very grandiose outside visual thing. So that's the problem. You know, you can get ambitious. Like I think Indiana Jones is a very ambitious attraction, but that's mostly in the building. There's very little ambition of that attraction outside of the actual attraction. So you can do even like technically like an Indiana Jones. It's just Pandora is just a little too in your face everywhere, you know?
Well, that's because right now we're doing a land, right? We're talking about a land versus a single attraction, right? I'm talking about like if they wanted to build a Zootopia there, could they build a whole Zootopia area?
I still think they could do Zootopia. They could do Zootopia. They could do Frozen.
You think so?
I don't think those lands are very very pretty. They're very immaculate, but I don't think that they're on the scale of Pandora.
They're not. But my thing with Zootopia, it's a lot of light pollution at night. They got these
noise.
Yeah, they got the massive jumbo screens and the flashiness, and it's like basically like building Las Vegas in those people's backyard. I don't know.
But it also depends on if that is the Zootopia land that they build. If they build something that maybe is off of Zootopia 2, it may not be as flashy.
But then do you think because of that, DCA or like Disney California is eventually going to get a inferior version of these lands because of those restrictions?
Yeah, I hope not. That brings me back to why I was mad about the Mice Chat rumor. And again, I'm not mad at Mice Chat. I'm mad at the rumor. So that two different things. But like I was mad about that rumor specifically because it takes the ambition out of these projects, in my opinion. I don't want to see DCA. I don't want to see DCA watered down. So I hope they can work around those restrictions with other projects and still make them ambitious and impressive. And I hope they don't get lazy.
Why too that they're trying to get a lot of the outdoor stuff already in the footprint of what DCA is now, because it will offset a lot of the indoor stuff that's probably going to have to go over in the Simba parking lot.
Yeah, a lot of that Simba lot's going to be indoors. You're probably not going to get any big bombastic rock work and stuff. Nothing like Pandora. I'm certain, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm certain that's why they're not going to build it in the Simba lot. I'm certain of it. There's too many restrictions with those houses right there.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it.
Well, are they going to build, because I forgot exactly what the wording was, but are they going to build like some like soundproof thing, like on the kind of outside behind in the back page?
Soundproof, and I do believe, if memory serves me correctly, they have to be so many feet even away from where the actual cutoff is of the Disney property that runs into the residential. So even when you look at the Simba lot as the lot itself, the outline of the lot, they're going to have to push forward in a sense of what they could put in there, because they can't have it smack dab right to the barrier, so to speak, because that's where they're going to have a lot of the sound barrier walls.
Yeah. Crazy. Great conversation, gentlemen. Everybody at home, what are your thoughts? I mean, this is something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, you know what I'm saying? So I would love to hear everybody at home what they feel and what they think about this, because I think it's a thing. I definitely think it's a thing. But the Italiano, where can everybody at home find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. And you can still find me on X. I didn't deactivate my account. I'm just not going to be on there that much. I'm just going to check my DMs, send out, show stuff to these guys and for plan videos. But I'm not going to be active tweeting and stuff like that anymore. I'm done with X. I'm tired of the way Elon has been running this site. He's been running it into the ground. I'm just fed up. And I think a lot of people are. A lot of people are leaving, So, but you can still follow me though. But I'm just not tweeting that much. I'm really, really, really backing off of Twitter. I'm not really checking it a whole lot anymore. But you can find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55, and on Threads, Orange Grove 55. Mr. Webba, I know you've been taking an X break. You don't even go on X that much at all anymore.
Nope, I have no idea what's going on there, and I do apologize if anyone has messaged me or tagged me. I don't know because I haven't looked, but I still have my account, so you can still follow me there, Mr. Webba at Websinger760. I'm more on Instagram now. Threads, I'm on there too, but Threads is really weird. I get a mix of Disney stuff and then a mix of like half naked chicks on there. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm on all three of those platforms.
And here's the thing, I don't really have a problem with that. I just wish that they were real. Like if they actually
Yeah, exactly. So follow this man on all platforms, but mostly Instagram. Absolutely. All right, guys, fantastic conversation. Now, speaking of Instagram, I do want to give a little bit of a shout out and a thank you. You probably have noticed, everybody at home, the outro is different. Asian Queen is her name on Instagram. She's really, really sweet, and she agreed to do an outro for us, and just amazing. She's a model or what have you, and she's on Instagram, Asian Queen with 3 E's, Asian Queen with 3 E's. But a big thank you and shout out to her for doing that. We do appreciate it. So if you notice the outro is different, that's why she did that for us. Really, really cool. But everybody at home, thank you so much for watching this episode of OG50.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.